Official welcome to the Archetypical Mind Study Group. This is session number 4, February 24, 2025. And today we're going to talk about Catalyst of the Mind. Let's start with the prayer of light.
Yep. Love before me, love behind me, love at my left, love at my right, love above me, love below me, love in me, love in my surroundings, love to all, love to the universe. Peace before me, peace behind me, peace at my left, peace at my right, peace above me, peace below me, peace in me, peace in my surroundings, peace to all, peace to the universe. Light before me, light behind me, light at my left, light at my right, light above me, light below me, light in me, light in my surroundings, light to all, light to the universe.
Andi, can you please set our intention?
We thank the one infinite creator for this opportunity to serve, to know ourselves, to accept ourselves, and to become creators. Let our hearts be filled with gratitude to those of Ra for bringing us the archetypes as a tool for this inner work, and those of Quo for extending our knowledge of these tools. We extend our gratitude to the channeling team at LL Research for bringing us these tools, these knowledge. We invite Quo to join us in this working. We also invite our guides, our higher selves, and the Ascended Masters to grace us with your presence and to show us what we need to know. May all beings find what they truly seek. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. I asked Andi to go over what I call the poop analogy, but it's the cake to poop analogy for the archetypical mind, because I just loved it so much when she posted it on the Telegram group.
Oh, you want me to read it? Okay, so
Or at least explain like the logic behind it, because it's
the
just
logic.
great.
I mean, it's the journey of the idea, of all that is being manifested, and then having its own kind of journey and its kind of arc, and then being fed back to the universal mind, I suppose. So imagine you want to make a cake. So the matrix is the idea of making the cake, or the idea of the cake, it hasn't manifested, it's just the idea. And then the potentiator is like, okay, you need ingredients and you need the recipe. So you go to a shop, and the potentiator is like the person at the counter who's like gives you all the ingredients for this cake so that you can make it, and the recipe for the cake. And then the catalyst is where you put the ingredients together and then you mix it, you agitate it, and then you put it in the oven. It's the heat of the oven that changes the cake from just a pile of gloop and ingredients into a cake. So the experience of the cake is like the cake when it's the process of it in the oven rising to become cake, and also when you're decorating it. And then the significator of the cake is how the cake is presented, like, is it just dumped on the table, or is it like really pretty? It's just like how it looks, and then how it's enjoyed and consumed by you. And then the transformation of the cake is when you've eaten the cake and the cake is transformed from this wonderful food into poop. And the great way is when you've done the poop. Well, it's basically the whole journey of like this cake, which started off as just an idea in the mind that came out of, the matrix, into like the poop that's now in the toilet, in the ocean, and like, like sort of joined back into the ocean. So yeah, that's my analogy. I hope you make sense. It makes sense because yeah, I couldn't think of a kind of more straightforward one, I suppose, but you might have more.
Yeah, no, I loved it. It makes perfect sense, and it again kind of emphasized for me how everything material starts from an idea or from thought. And that's just, couldn't get more straightforward than that.
Yeah, so next time you have catalyst, you can just think, right, I'm just like a bunch of like ingredients becoming cake.
Yeah.
And we're all the cake, as well as the maker of the cake, and as well as the person who had the idea for the cake.
And
It's
the
all
person
cake.
eating the cake. Yeah, it's all cake.
Yeah.
Or as Eddie Izzard says, cake or death.
Yes.
All right. So we're starting with the traditional dictionary definition. What is catalyst? Catalyst is a substance that increases the rate of a chemical reaction without itself undergoing any permanent chemical change. And two, a person or a thing that precipitates an event. Specifically, I think Ra says that the best and biggest catalyst is other selves. So that's the second one. I pulled up all the quotes that I found from Ra, and then I went on looking on the LL Research website for quotes on Catalyst of the Mind, and Quo only spoke about it twice. So you're only getting 2 quotes this time. Andy, do you want to start us up?
Questioner, I was asking if the third archetype was the Empress, and was it correct to say that this archetype had to do with disciplined meditation? Ra, I am Ra. The third archetype may broadly be grasped as the catalyst of the mind. Thus, it takes in far more than disciplined meditation. However, it is certainly through this faculty that catalyst is most efficiently used. The archetype 3 is perhaps confusedly called Empress, although the intention of this number is the understanding that it represents the unconscious or female portion of the mind complex being first, shall we say, used or ennobled by the male or conscious portion of the mind, thus the noble name.
Questionnaire. The next archetype, the Empress, is the catalyst of the mind, that which acts upon the conscious mind to change it. The fourth being the Emperor, which is the experience of the mind, which is that material stored in the unconscious, which creates its continuing bias. Am I correct with these statements? Ra, I am Ra. Though far too rigid in your statements, you perceive correct relationships. There is a great deal of dynamic interrelationship in these first 4 archetypes.
Questioner, the square cage may represent the material illusion, an unmagical shape. Would Ra comment? Ra, I am Ra. The square, wherever seen, is the symbol of the third density illusion, and may be seen either as unmagical or in the proper configuration as having been manifested within, that is, the material world given life.
Questionnaire. Fourth, when the catalyst of the mind is processed by the entity, the experience of the mind results. Is this correct? Ra, I am Ra. There are subtle misdirections in this simple statement having to do with the overriding qualities of the significator. It is so that catalyst yields experience. However, through free will and the faculty of imperfect memory, catalyst is most often only partially used, and the experience thus correspondingly skewed.
Questioner, With the third tarot card, we come to the first edition of archetypes after the veiling process, as I understand it. I am assuming that this third archetype is, shall I say, loaded in a way so as to create the possible polarization, since that seems to be one of the primary objectives of this particular logos in the evolutionary process. Am I in any way correct on that? Your supposition is correct.
Questionnaire. There seems to be no large hint of polarity in this drawing, except for the possible coloration of the many cups in the wheel. Part of them are colored black and part are colored white. Would this indicate that each experience has within it the possible negative or positive use of that experience that is randomly generated by this seeming wheel of fortune? And I'm assuming that in the original card, they had some alternating color cups instead of that wheel. Ra, I am Ra. Your supposition is thoughtful. However, it is based upon an addition to the concept complex, which is astrological in origin. Therefore, we request that you retain the concept of polarity, but release the cups from their structured form. The element you deal with is not in motion in its original form, but is indeed the abiding sun, which from the spirit shines in protection over all catalyst available from the beginning of complexity to the discerning mind-body-spirit complex.
Indeed, you may rather find polarity expressed firstly by the many opportunities offered in the material illusion, which is imaged by the not white and not dark square upon which the entity of the image is seated. Secondly, upon the position of that seated entity. It does not meet opportunity straight on, but glances off to one side or another. In the image, you will note a suggestion that the offering of the illusion will often seem to suggest the opportunities lying upon the left-hand path, or as you might refer to it more simply, the service to self path. This is a portion of the nature of the catalyst of the mind.
Questionnaire. The feet of the entity seem to be on an unstable platform that is dark to the rear and light to the front. I am guessing that possibly this indicates that the entity standing on this could sway in either direction, to the left or to the right-hand path. Is this correct? Ra, I am Ra. This is most perceptive.
Questioner. The bird, I am guessing, might be a messenger of the two paths depicted by the position of the wing-springing catalyst, which could be used to polarize on either path. Is this in any way correct? Ra, I am Ra. It is a correct perception that the position of the winged creature is significant. The more correct perception of this entity and its significance is the realization that the mind-body-spirit complex is having made contact with its potentiated self, now beginning its flight towards that great logos, which is that which is sought by the adept.
Further, the nature of the winged creature is echoed both by the female holding it and the symbol of the female upon which the figure's feet rest. That is, the nature of catalyst is overwhelmingly of an unconsciousness coming from that which is not of the mind and which has no connection with the intellect, as you call it, which precedes or is concomitant with catalytic action. All uses of catalyst by the mind are those consciously applied to catalyst. Without conscious intent and use of catalyst, the use of catalyst is never processed through meditation, ideation, and imagination. And I'm assuming that they refer to the moon being of feminine energy. Is that correct? Probably.
I think so.
Andi, your
Right.
turn.
Questioner, I would like, if possible, an example of the activity we call catalyst of the mind in a particular individual undergoing this process. Could Ra give an example of that? Ra, I am Ra. All that assaults your senses is catalyst. We, in speaking to this support group through this instrument, offer catalyst. The configurations of each in the group of body offer catalyst through comfort, discomfort. In fact, all that is unprocessed that has come before the notice of a mind-body-spirit complex is catalyst.
Questioner. Then presently we receive catalyst of the mind as we are aware of Ra's communication, and we receive catalyst of the body as our body senses all of the inputs to the body, as I understand it. But could Ra then describe catalyst of the spirit? And are we at this time receiving that catalyst also? And if not, could Ra give an example of that? Ra, I am Ra. Catalyst being processed by the body is catalyst for the body. Catalyst being processed by the mind is catalyst for the mind. Catalyst being processed by the spirit is catalyst for the spirit. An individual mind-body-spirit complex may use any catalyst which comes before its notice, be it through the body and its senses, or through the mentation, or through any other more highly developed source, and use this catalyst in its unique way to form an experience unique to it with its biases.
Sorry. Questioner, would I be correct in saying that the archetype for the catalyst of the mind is the Logos's model for its most efficient plan for the activity or use of the catalyst of the mind? Ra, I am Ra, yes. Questioner, the third card also shows the wand. I am assuming it is in the right hand. The ball atop the wand is the round magical shape. Am I in any way correct in guessing that the catalyst of the mind suggests the possible eventual use of the magic depicted by this wand? Ra, I am Ra. The wand is astrological in its origin, and as an image may be released from its stricture. The sphere of spiritual power is an indication indeed that each opportunity is pregnant with the most extravagant magical possibilities for the far-seeing adept.
Questioner. I was just wondering if the transparency of the garments on the third card indicates the semi-permeable nature of the veil between the conscious and unconscious mind. Ra, I am Ra. This is a thoughtful perception and cannot be said to be incorrect. However, the intended suggestion in general is an echo of our earlier suggestion that the nature of catalyst is that of the unconscious. That is, outward catalyst comes through the veil. All that you perceive seems to be consciously perceived. This is not the correct supposition. All that you perceive is perceived as catalyst unconsciously. By the, shall we say, time that the mind begins its appreciation of catalyst, that catalyst has been filtered through the veil, and in some cases, much is veiled in the most apparently clear perception.
Questioner, I have drawn the small diagram in which I simply show an arrow which represents catalyst penetrating a line at right angles to the arrow, which is the veil, depositing in one of two repositories, which I would call the right-hand path and the left-hand path. And I have labeled these two repositories the experience. Would this be a very rough analogy of the way the catalyst is filtered through the veil to become experience? Ra, I am Ra. Again, you are partially correct. The deeper biases of a mind-body-spirit complex pilot the catalyst around the many aisles of positivity and negativity as expressed in the archipelago of the deeper mind. However, the analogy is incorrect in that it does not take into account the further polarization which most certainly is available to the conscious mind after it has perceived a partially polarized catalyst from the deeper mind.
Questioner. It seems to me that the experience of the mind would act in such a way as to change the nature of the veil so that catalyst would be filtered so as to be more acceptable in the bias that is increasingly chosen by the entity. For instance, if the entity had chosen the right-hand path, the experience of the mind would change the permeability of the veil to accept more and more positive catalyst, and also the other would be true for accepting more negative if the left-hand path were the one that was repeatedly chosen. Is this correct? I am Ra. This is not only correct, but there is a further ramification. As the entity increases in experience, it shall more and more choose positive interpretations of catalyst if it is upon the service to others path, and negative interpretations of catalyst if its experience has been along the service to self path.
Questioner, then the mechanism designed by the logos of the action of catalyst resulting in experience was planned to be self-accelerating in that it would create this process of, shall I say, variable permeability that was of the function of the chosen path. Is this an adequate statement? Ra, I am Ra. There is no variable permeability involved in the concepts we have just discussed. Except for this, you are quite correct.
Questionnaire. From that statement, I interpret the following meaning: that if the experience of the mind has sufficiently chosen the right-hand path, as total purity is approached in choosing of the right-hand path, then total imperviousness from the effect of the left-hand catalyst is also approached. Is this correct? Ra, I am Ra. This is exquisitely perceptive. The seeker, which has purely chosen the service to others path, shall certainly not have a variant apparent incarnational experience. There is no outward shelter in your illusion from the gusts, flurries, and blizzards of quick and cruel catalyst. However, to the pure, all that is encountered speaks of the love and the light of the one infinite creator. The cruelest blow is seen with an ambience of challenges offered and opportunities to come. Thusly, the great pitch of light is held high above such a one, so that all interpretation may be seen to be protected by light. This is I really like Ra's answer here.
I am Quo and am aware of your query, my sister. The catalyst of the body is that which is usually experienced when the mental faculties of the mind-body-spirit complex have not appropriately apprehended the nature of catalyst that has come before it. When this occurs, then there is oftentimes the giving over of the catalyst of the mind to that of the body in some form of physical maladjustment, shall we say, or disease. This is in order that the mental faculties may then have a second opportunity to look upon this catalyst that was first emitted and see there where there is information to be gained. This type of experience is quite common among the most of the population of your planet that suffer the physical ailments that continue to repeat themselves and attempt to bring to light that which has remained in shadows for the mind.
I really like this quote. It reminds me of, I don't know if you guys know, I think her name is Anita Morjani, and she's a woman that had terminal cancer, and while she was there, she was on her deathbed, and she had an NDE, a near-death experience, in which it was explained to her how her anger and other things from her life actually caused her cancer. And once she understood it and made peace with it, she came back, and within, I think, 3 weeks, her terminal cancer was gone from her body. So there's a lot about, like, don't you get it? I'm giving you catalyst and you're not getting it in your mind, so I'm going to show it in your body, right? Yeah. All right. Let us gaze at the archetypes of the mind. Firstly, the matrix of the mind. This essence or energy is the untaught seeker, the beginner's mind, reaching, and again reaching. For what? The potentiator of the mind is that which receives the desire and enables it by a process of reflection and blessing. The significator of the mind is then the result of the matrix entity or archetypical figure reaching or intending that which can only be potentiated by the seemingly passive potentiator, that seated figure which has within the bosom great wisdom. Thusly, the matrix of the mind is able to record incoming data, and through the potentiator, once again, is able to deliver to the archetype of the catalyst of the mind, the catalyst which will become experience. And that is that.
Thank you, Neely, for putting all this together. Close your eyes and relax. Take a deep breath in. Breath out. Hold. Breath in. Hold. Breath out. Hold. Breath in. Hold. Breath out. Hold. And relax. Relaxing your toes, feet, ankles, calves and shins, your knees, your thighs. Moving up your torso, up to your shoulders, down your arms, elbows, forearms, wrists, hands and fingers. Moving up your neck, jaw, cheeks, ears, back of your head, eyes, eyebrows, moving up towards your crown. And relax, opening up your red ray energy center. Open up your orange ray energy center. Open up your yellow ray energy center. Opening up your green ray energy center. Open up your blue ray energy center. And open up your indigo ray energy center. And open up your violet ray energy center. Move your attention inwards as deep as you can into your heart chakra, focusing as deep as you can to an area as small as you can, deep within your green ray energy center. Go deeper still. Sit with it for a moment. Gradually becoming aware that you're sitting in great big cozy kitchen and table. This kitchen was filled with all sorts of foods and medicines from all over the universe. Some you've seen before, some you're familiar with, some food you love, some of it looks disgusting, some of it you didn't even realize was edible. You become aware of a woman entering the kitchen, and she radiates deep, loving, maternal energy. And you recognize her as your true mother, not your earthly mother. The mother of your deep universal mind, who is the Empress. Which makes you royalty, and you have the birthright to become the ruler of all that is one day. And she is here to personally prepare for the nourishment that you need for your healing and your growth. And she can prepare everything for you, but you are the only one who has to eat it. And she places a dish before you. How do you feel about this dish? What is this dish that has been offered to you? And sit with it. Examine your feelings about this dish. When you're ready, slowly thank the Empress, your true mother, for her offering, and bring yourself out of the meditation.